Y'all, I love making sweet stuff better than just about anybody else I know. We're going to start with an entire loaf of bread that we've got sliced into slices. Going to separate it into 3 different parts. Now, what I'm going to do is cut each one of these little stacks of bread into cubes, okay? So it's going to be 4 across one way and then probably 3 or 4 the other. Super, super simple. Make sure you use a super sharp serrated knife so you don't mash your bread, okay? Once we get all that cut up and put into our largest mixing bowl, we're going to set it aside while we make all of the fun that goes on top. What we're going to do is go ahead and crack 6 eggs into a medium mixing bowl. Add just a little bit of milk. We're going to put 2 cups of milk in here. Now, you can choose to use full-fat milk, 2% skim, whatever it is you like to do. I love to go full-fat, but just in case you're watching your diet, you can go ahead and use a low-fat milk if you prefer. Next up, we're going to put just a little bit of vanilla flavor in here. Always have this close and handy whenever we're baking, especially any of the sweet stuff. Makes everything just so nice. 1 tablespoon of that goes inside. Next up, we got a little bit of brown sugar. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of that in here. Perfect. A little bit of apple pie spice. Now, if you don't have this, it's a combination of like cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, all those regular culprits. You know the ones we're talking about, the usual suspects. Going to put a tablespoon of that in here and then mix it up real good with either a fork, hand mixer, or a whisk. Whatever it is, it gets the job done best for you. I love Movie Magic. Moves this all along real quick like. Now we're going to bring back all that cubed bread and pour this beautiful concoction we just poured together all over the top. We're going to make sure that it gets good and soaked all the way through. We're going to give it a little bit of a stir with a wooden spoon, or if you'd like to get your hands dirty, you can stick those in there to mix it up too. I'd recommend using a glove for something like this though, because I tell you what, whenever you're working with bread, it can get real crumbly, and you just want to make sure you're as clean as possible, especially if you're taking this to like a public event, like say maybe a church social, or taking it to a group gathering. Now whenever you get that in, you're going to notice that it's going to soak into each piece of that bread. So we had a little bit at the bottom, now it's all soaked into our cubed bread. Next up, we're going to do the exact same thing we did with our bread with a stick of butter, okay? Now, this one I want to make sure we keep it just a little bit colder. Sometimes I like to cook with room temperature or warm butter because it's better if it's a liquid. Now, with this one, we're going to leave it in the fridge until time to cube it, and we're going to chop it up just exactly like this because this needs to be a little bit more of a crumbly mixture. It needs to keep a little bit of its hardness. We're going to throw that into a medium-sized mixing bowl, okay? Perfect. Make sure you get a good dispersion down there at the bottom. Next up is more of that beautiful brown sugar. Gonna add 2 tablespoons of that. Now 3 tablespoons of our apple pie spice. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and get our hands just a little bit gooky. Going to put it right down in there and squeeze it all together. Make sure we get those crumbles of butter completely covered with all that delicious spice. Going to bring out our muffin tin. We're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. Blast this sucker down with our non-stick spray. Now, y'all know that butter flavor Pam is my favorite. Go ahead and get that going. Then you're going to take those bread cubes that you've bathed in that egg wash and just go ahead and fill this muffin tin with that. Now, be kind of careful with these. You want to make sure they come up over the lip of it by about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And make sure you're real careful the way that you distribute it, okay? Because if you leave it there on the top, it can burn real easy like. Once all your muffin cups are full, you're going to get that butter, sugar, spice mixture, and you're just going to put a very heaping, healthy dose of that on top of each one of these. It's just a real easy, simple something or another, but you want to make sure you got a nice chunk of crumble on top of each one of these before you pop them into the oven. Now, like I said before, we've preheated to 350 degrees, and these are going to stay in there for roughly 20 minutes. Keep an eyeball on them. The egg wash is going to keep them from burning, but they're going to fluff up real nice and pretty, and that crumble mixture on top is going to make for this gorgeous little crackle right there on the top that is so delicious, sweet without being too sweet. Perfect cold weather treat. Now, whenever we get all that done, we're going to go ahead and slide them into the oven. 20 minutes later, and these beauties emerge from the oven. I wish you'd look at that, how gorgeous. Now, you got just a little bit of an overspill there on your muffin tin, but that is absolutely perfect. Serve these as is with a little dollop of vanilla ice cream, and you're good to go. Yes, please.